And I have to say that the mood of the Cuban nation and the mood of the Cuban people was absolutely solid in the face of the kind of celebrations that were taking place in the streets of Miami. There was a calmness about people and a readiness to face the future with confidence, and I wanted to report back to you on that. And when we went round talking to ordinary Cuban people, I have to say that I was tremendously humbled by the experience, and never so more than when in Havana I met a man called Ramon, and I got chatting to him. Fine-looking bloke, knocking on a bit, about my age probably. And I found out that Ramon had been doing some reading on the attack on the Moncada barracks, which many of you will be aware of. And in my reading of that attack on the Moncada barracks, a seminal point in Cuban history, I thought all the attackers on the barracks, certainly from the hospital end of the battlefield, had been killed. And Ramon was the one person who had survived. All the others who tried to hold the hospital, which was an important strategic post in the attack on the Moncada barracks, were betrayed by doctors and nurses in the hospital when the attack went wrong, were denounced, were taken outside, mutilated, shot, etc. And Ramon was saved by a patient. Ramon was in his teens but looked even younger. And he said to me, "I'm alive today because I stumbled into a room and there was an old man dying on the bed in the room." And he guessed more or less straight away what this was all about. He signalled me to him and told me to sit by the side of him. And when the soldiers came round looking for the insurgents, July the 26th movement people, ready to take this boy away, the man in the bed said, "No, he's my grandson and he's been with me all night." And I thought to myself, politicians in Western Europe think it's an effort to stand and fight elections, but here's somebody who actually fought for his principles and went right to the edge of death and has survived today. And as I say, for a real humbling experience. And Alberto, the man who drove us round in a Mercedes, somebody's getting around the embargo, a Mercedes bus. And it was my request to visit the Bay of Pigs. I'm not sure the rest of the MPs with me are a mixed bunch of right-wing Labour, left-wing Labour, Liberal Democrats who are all over the place, I have to tell you that. And a few progressive nationalists. And I really wanted to go to the Bay of Pigs because I'm very interested in the military side of history. And as we drove away from the Bay of Pigs, Alberto, who was our shaven-headed bus driver, was pointing out all the monuments along the side of the road as you leave the Bay of Pigs to drive back inland, where people had fallen resisting the American-backed invasion. And I found out that Alberto had taken part in that. And I contrast that commitment of the Cuban people with a kind of, I don't know, very relaxed attitude we've got to politics in Western Europe. And I've drawn a lot of experience and a lot of kind of lessons from that visit to Cuba. Now, Tony mentioned earlier, switching it slightly to another country I'm probably slightly more involved in, Venezuela. Tony mentioned earlier about Tony Blair's response to a question in the House of Commons, and I was that man who asked him the question. And I thought it was a pretty innocent question. There was, and nobody had asked me, because usually, just let you into a secret here, at Prime Minister's question time, if they know you're on the Labour side, Blair, the Prime Minister's Parliamentary Private Secretary, will come to you an hour or so before and say, "What roughly are you going to be asking?" So sometimes the Prime Minister is prepared for what's asked, a question that's asked from his own side, but not the alternative side. And I kept out of the way for a few hours, so nobody knew what I was asking, and I think I caught him off balance. And I found his reaction surprising in a way, but on reflection probably not, because he represents what are really the basic dominant ideas in our kind of Western European political culture, i.e. the dominance of neoliberal ideas and the dominance in an international context of the Washington Consensus. And I thought his remark was ill-judged at the time. I'm pleased to say that President Chavez thought it was ill-judged, because the following day, Chavez denounced Blair in front of 100,000 people in Caracas. And my name became better known in Caracas than his elite.